1948. For Palestinians, that year is Al-Nakba, or the catastrophe. When hundreds of thousands were forced out of their homes. As a filmmaker and as a Palestinian, this documentary series was my way to understand the events of the past that are still shaping the present.
From early 1948, Jewish paramilitary forces began to seize more land in Palestine. By the end of July, more than 400,000 Palestinians had been forced to flee their homes. Their plight as refugees had just started.
United Nations mediator in Palestine, Count Volker Bernadotte.
In May 1948, Swedish diplomat Count Folke Bernadotte was appointed as UN mediator in Palestine. His mission was to seek a peaceful settlement.
Sooner or later, it might be sooner, can get a settlement and stop the war in Palestine.
Count Bernadotte surveyed the devastated Palestinian villages and visited refugee camps in both Palestine and Jordan. The scale of the humanitarian disaster became apparent. He witnessed cramped living conditions, long queues for basic food, and scarce medical aid. On September the 17th, 1948, the day following his UN report, the motorcade of Count Bernadotte was ambushed in Jerusalem. He was shot at point-blank range by members of the Jewish Stern Gang.
Palestine, and from Jerusalem, the bodies of Count Bernadotte and the French truce observer Colonel Serrault are conveyed by ambulance to Haifa. Guards of honor pay homage to the man whose murder by Stern Gang terrorists shocked the world. Humanity is the poorer for the loss of Count Bernadotte, whose work for peace in Palestine had won the admiration of all civilized peoples.
Israeli forces annexed neighborhoods in what is now known as West Jerusalem. Israel continued its expansion. Air raids, incursions, and expulsions escalated. By December 1948, the number of Palestinian refugees soared to over 700,000. The United Nations General Assembly responded by adopting Resolution 194. This stated that refugees who want to return to their homes and live in peace with their neighbors should be given the right to do so as soon as possible.
Israel is a child of the United Nations, and it is determined to remain loyal to its parent body. It's going to base its whole policy upon loyalty to the United Nations. But it is up to the United Nations to be loyal to its child.
All the United Nations resolutions have been left in abeyance. They haven't been applied. And that, of course, is in good measure due to the United States.
In 1949, Israel seized more land allocated to the Arabs by the UN partition plan. By April 1949, the gravity of what Palestinians called the Nakba, or catastrophe, was becoming clear. More than 400 villages and 11 cities were destroyed. Over 700,000 Palestinians had become refugees from the land that would become the new state of Israel. Over 13,000 Palestinians had been killed, more than 30,000 injured. The UN pushed for armistice deals between Israel and the surrounding Arab countries. With Count Bernadotte's murder, the negotiations were now headed by his deputy, the American mediator Ralph Bunche. In February 1949, the first armistice agreement was signed between Israel and Egypt, followed by Lebanon in March, Jordan in April, and finally with Syria in July. The very next day, Israel was admitted as a member of the United Nations.
We believe that admitting Israel as a member will not merely be an act of justice. It will also be a decisive step towards peace.
Resolution 69 of the UN Security Council stated, "The Security Council decides in its judgment that Israel is a peace-loving state and is able and willing to carry out the obligations in the UN Charter."
Welcome to the Montreal Arabic Corner, previously known as the Palestinian Corner from Montreal, and this is our 62nd episode devoted to the Palestinian right of return. We are talking here about the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 194. It was adopted on December 11, 1948, near the end of the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, the first war. The resolution defined principles for reaching a final settlement and returning Palestinian refugees to their homes. It resolved in Article 2 that refugees wishing to return to their homes and live at peace with their neighbors should be permitted to do so at the earliest practicable date, and that compensation should be paid for the property of those choosing not to return and for loss or damage to property which, under principle of international law or equity, should be made good by the governments and or authorities responsible. End of quote. Following the assassination of UN mediator Falk Bernadotte, the author of the resolution, the 58 members of the United Nations at that time adopted the resolution by a majority of 35 countries, with 15 voting against and 18 abstaining. Significantly, all 6 Arab League countries then represented at the United Nations, Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen, voted against the resolution. Israel was not a member of the United Nations at that time. Later on, objected, of course, to many of the resolution's articles. The Palestinians then had no representations at the UN. The resolution, especially Article 2, has been cited in United Nations General Assembly Resolution 302 establishing the UNRWA and other UN resolutions. Many of the resolutions, 15 articles, were not fulfilled, since they were opposed by Israel, rejected by the Arab states, or were overshadowed by the war, as the 1948 conflict continued until armistice in 1949 between Israel and the Arab countries involved in the war. The UN General Assembly has reaffirmed Resolution 194 every year since 1949. Multiple subsequent resolutions from the United Nations have reaffirmed the right of return, including General Assembly Resolution 169 in 1980 and Security Council Resolution 237 in 1967. Article 7 has a special importance in the resolution, I think. It reads, quote, resolves that the holy places, including Nazareth, religious buildings, and sites in Palestine should be protected and free access to them assured, in accordance with existing rights and historical practices. That arrangement to this end should be under effective United Nations supervision. Resolves that in view of its association with 3 world religions, the Jerusalem area, including the present municipality of Jerusalem, plus the surrounding villages and towns, should be accorded a special and separate treatment from the rest of Palestine and should be placed under effective United Nations control. The Arab states reacted negatively, obviously, to the resolution based on their fears of leaving the holy places to be under UN supervision. Later on, Israel and the Palestinian Authority went further to claim Jerusalem as their capital. Thank you. نعم، موضوع قرار حق العودة للاجئين الفلسطينيين من المواضيع الهامة والمتداولة فلسطينيا وعربيا ودوليا، فيسمح لي أتطرق فقط للقرار الذي حمل حق العودة رقم 194 والذي تبناه الوفد البريطاني في الجمعية العامة للأمم المتحدة كما كتبه الكونت برنادوت مندوب الهيئة العامة وقتها بشأن اللاجئين أو ما عرف بقرار العودة في عام 1948. وبعد التصويت مع 35 وضد 15 وممتنع 8 أصدرت الجمعية العامة للأمم المتحدة القرار رقم 194 والذي جاء في الفقرة 2 منه بأن الجمعية العامة كوت زي ما بيقولوا تقرر وجوب السماح بالعودة في أقرب وقت ممكن للاجئين الراغبين في العودة إلى ديارهم والعيش بسلام مع جيرانهم، ووجوب دفع تعويضات لهم عن ممتلكات الذين يقررون عدم العودة إلى ديارهم، وكذلك عن كل فقدان أو خسارة أو ضرر للممتلكات بحيث يعود الشيء إلى أصله وفقا لمبادئ القانون الدولي والعدالة، بحيث يعوض عن ذلك الفقدان أو الخسارة أو الضرر من قبل الحكومات أو السلطات المسؤولية. نهاية الكود. كذلك يدعو القرار إلى عودة اللاجئين في أول فرصة ممكنة، والمقصود بهذا عند توقف القتال عام 1948 أي عند توقيع اتفاقيات الهدنة، وهذا ما حدث فيما بعد. في اتفاقيات الهدنة عام 1949 بدأت المفاوضات في جزيرة رودس اليونانية بتوسط الأمم المتحدة بين إسرائيل من جانب وكل من مصر ولبنان والأردن وسوريا من جانب آخر. كانت العراق أيضا داخلة بس رفضت. منعت إسرائيل عودة اللاجئين الفلسطينيين من هذا التاريخ إلى يومنا هذا. يتكون قرار 194 من 15 بندا وأهم بنوده ربما 2، واحد يخص حق العودة والثاني يخص حماية الأماكن المقدسة المسيحية طبعا من القدس ولا حد بيت لحم والناصرة، وبمعنى آخر وضع بوليس دولي خارج الكنائس والمدن لحمايتها من الجيوش المتحاربة. عارضت دول الجامعة العربية بكل أسف القرار وصوتت ضده، كل من مصر وسوريا ولبنان والعراق والمملكة العربية السعودية واليمن، وأيدته كل من بريطانيا والولايات المتحدة الأمريكية وكندا وغيرهم من الدول الأوروبية. تفاصيل القرار موجودة على النت وبتفاصيل طويلة. جاءت الرياح بما لا تشتهي السفن، ما حدش كان متوقع ذلك. ثم نحن كفلسطينية أيضا لم نأخذ في الاعتبار القرار لما طالبنا بالقدس عاصمة للدولة الفلسطينية، يعني بمجرد مطالبة، وتجاهلنا قرار الجمعية العامة بحماية الأماكن المقدسة المسيحية والقدس. أساسا قرار الحماية كان يسعى لبقاء الأماكن المقدسة تحت الإدارة الفلسطينية بتوقيف بوليس دولي خارجها لحمايتها من الجيوش المتحاربة لا أكثر. يعني لو قبلت الدول العربية بالقرار قبل إعلان دولة إسرائيل وأثناء حرب 48 لظلت القدس وبيت لحم والناصرة فلسطينية الإدارة وبحماية بوليس دولي من الجيوش والحروب، وكانت نواة لإقامة دولة فلسطينية باعتراف دولي، لكن هذا ما حدث. أيضا عند إنشاء دولة إسرائيل أول شيء عمله ديفيد بن غوريون رئيس وزرائه هو رفض القرار، وراحت الأمم المتحدة تجدد قلقها حول عدم تنفيذ القرار كل سنة تقريبا منذ إنشاء دولة إسرائيل، وتطالب إسرائيل بحق اللاجئين، ولكنها إسرائيل لم تتخذ أي خطوات عملية لتنفيذه. الحل في رأيي هو أن تقوم الجامعة العربية الآن بوضعه على أجندتها للمناقشة وتحديثه وإعادة تقديمه للجمعية العامة كإضافة للمبادرة العربية لتحديث القرار الأصلي. ولا شو رأي حضرتكم؟ شكرا للدكتورة ريم الريم من رام الله على مراجعتها للنص، ولكم على استماعكم.